If you want to be more efficient and effective while experiencing more inner peace, then working on the core of your issues instead of putting on a Band-Aid is vital. Welcome to Life Fix University podcast. I'm your host, Esty Rapport, and here to help you improve your 28 cognitive functions, the 28 things that make up thinking. In each episode, we'll discuss a real-life challenge, why you might be struggling with it, and give you practical strategies so all areas of your life will improve.
How do you give negative feedback without people taking it the wrong way? You don't want them to get personally insulted, but at the same time, you want them to make a change. That's what's coming up next in Life Fix University podcast, episode 398, with a bonus on what to do when someone gives you negative feedback. But first, which one of your cognitive functions are the strongest? Which ones are really weak? Which ones can you leverage to help you improve your weaker ones? And where should you start working on yours? Find out by taking the cognitive function assessment at lifefixuniversity.com/CF. This Life Fix, P-I-X, university.com/CF for cognitive functions. For today's real-life challenge, imagine you have to give your new employee negative feedback. You really don't want to do this. You don't like giving negative feedback, especially with a new person where you're just like building the relationship with them, but you really have to because it's affecting sales. And you know, if you don't do it now, it is only going to get worse. You might be struggling with this if you have a weak cognitive function of labeling, considering another person's perspective, defining a problem, giving a thoughtful response, or maybe any of the other 20 cognitive functions. But actually, we are not talking about the cognitive functions today because people don't like being told what to do, especially when they're doing something wrong. And you're coming along to tell them to do something else. The best way to ever tell someone is not to tell them. You want to ask them questions to help them come to the conclusions by themselves. This process is called mediation. If you listen to episode 354 or 381, you'll be very familiar with what I'm talking about. And it'll be even easier for you to give negative feedback this way. Usually, when we give mediation, we don't have an agenda in mind. We don't want to come into the conversation trying to push the person into a certain corner. We come open, we're asking questions. We don't have planned type of questions, and we just take the conversation and see where it's going. Obviously, when you're using mediation to give negative feedback, you do have some sort of agenda. You do have some sort of conclusion, some sort of something you want them to understand. However, you can still come with an open mind to see if maybe they have a better solution on what you are trying to tell them. I like to think of it of helping them get from point A to point B. Point A is where they are right now. Point B is the results that you want. How they actually get there is their choice. And that's what you are going to do while you are mediating them. So here are 5 tips to help you succeed in giving negative feedback. Number 1, when you are mediating someone, you want to begin at their current location, right? You want to begin at their A. So ask them questions about where they are right now or a situation that is happening right now. They just spoke to a client and it went bad. Ask them what they think happened in that situation with this client that they just spoke to. Maybe they're having a negative attitude towards a certain project. Ask them what they think about that. Number 2, based on their answers of where they are right now, you slowly are going to continue asking them questions to help them get to the point of where you want them to go. So asking them questions that follow up what you said, leading them to that destination. Make sure that you are really asking them questions that are connected to what they said. So it's not like just like random and they just think that like you're pushing all your things onto them, but asking them like, what would happen if you do it like this? Right? Tip number 3. This is super important. Throughout this entire process, you have to make sure you're waiting for the response. You want to make the environment a relaxed environment if you want the outcome to be beneficial, and you have to actually listen to what you say so that way you can give good follow-up questions. Tip number 4, the entire time you want to make sure you're showing them you are on the same page. It's not me against you. Your questions, your comments, make sure they are not taking it personally. And when you have to say something that they disagree with, you want to take responsibility on yourself and phrase it in a way where it is not attacking them. For example, I personally like it when whatever, or in the past, we've done it like this. And make sure to follow it up with a question to hear their thoughts. And so that way they are actually engaged in what you're saying, and it's not just going right through them, right over them, and they're actually interested, and maybe they will actually give you a better idea. Tip number 5. In business, there are times where it's not like in life and you could just say you get to pick your choices. There are certain things that we want them to do. However, it doesn't mean that we always have the best ideas. So part of this conversation is also coming in to actually hear what they have to say and what their perspectives are. You could always follow up what you are saying and your perspective with a good question to see how it works for them and how you can make this work. Yes, this takes a lot more time, but this is how they will actually listen to your feedback and take action on it, especially if you can come with a way together with them of how they can begin implementing it immediately. Now, I know I didn't say anything about being positive and giving compliments, as I'm assuming you're using lots of them. It's just obvious, right? That's where you want to start. You want to make sure that they understand that you're in this together with them. It's really important that the person feels like you care about them, or else none of this will work. Make sense? Good. Now for our bonus, okay? If someone gives you negative feedback in the typical way where it's not really nice and it's not through mediation and it hurts, I can't make it hurt less and I can't change the person who gave you negative feedback. But if you understand this concept, it will be a lot easier. Part of having a growth mindset is being able to take feedback. So if someone gives you feedback and it hurts, instead of taking it personally, try to look at it objectively and see how you can change. I like to think of it as a game, and someone is sharing with me how to play the game better, assuming that the feedback is accurate. That's why you have to look at it objectively without all the emotions and actually figure out was what the person was saying, does it make sense, or actually not. Today we spoke about giving negative feedback, but it's really not negative feedback, because when you're having this conversation, it doesn't come across negative and you are actually helping them. And we spoke about 5 things that can help you make giving this feedback easier and more successful. Number 1, start at their current location. Number 2, ask them questions based on their answer, moving them towards where you want them to go. Number 3, wait for their response. Number 4, make sure they understand you're on the same page as them and it's not me against you. If you have anything to say that they disagree with, take the responsibility for it. And number 5, be open to the possibility that maybe, just maybe, they have a better way or they have a new way, especially maybe it's not better for you, but it is better for them. Your challenge this week is to use mediation to give feedback. Like I said, I'm not calling it negative feedback because in this process, it's not actually negative and you are helping that person. One more thing before we go, we are coming on up to episode 400. By episode 400, we are having a lot of exciting changes happening. And guess what? The biggest one is the name change. So if you all of a sudden come to the episode and it has a different name change, don't be surprised. I'm telling you what it is, but you'll have to wait to hear what it is. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you.
That's all for this episode of the Life Fix University podcast. If you enjoyed it, please share it with 2 of your family and friends so they too can gain from it, and you'll be helping us reach our goal of 1 million downloads by the end of 2025. Have an awesome rest of your day and grow those dendrites.